Yes, I'll have a knuckle sandwich. Yes, I'll have a knuckle sandwich.
Hey, welcome to Knuckle Sandwich MMA. Did I just rhyme? I think I just rhymed, Nando.
Yes. Yeah.
Welcome to Knuckle Sandwich. We have got some amazing conversation for you of the upcoming fight in our own backyard in Salt Lake City, Utah. Nando and I are from Utah, and we're excited about this fight being right here in our backyard. Nando, take it away. Introduce yourself. Say what's up.
Hello, my name's Nando, and yeah, we're super excited watching the videos, watching the embeddeds, and being like, "Oh, that's Salt Lake City. I know where that is." Oh man, they were here for a whole week and a half. Oh, I wish I would have known that. I would have went to downtown Salt Lake,
Well,
went to some of the trails.
I got a little surprise for you a little bit later on in the podcast. Don't you worry about it.
Okay.
All right, guys. So as we always do, we're going to go over the. So this one has early prelims, and then the main card. And so we're going to go through and mention. I'm going to take over the early prelims and just kind of name them. We're not going to discuss them too much, but Nando has something that was surprising to him that he wants to share. So let's get off with the early prelims. First bout is Daniel Da Silva versus Victor Altamirano. And that's going to be a fantastic fight. All these fights on this card, I didn't realize, Nando, how good this card was. I mean, because you're thinking, Salt Lake City is probably not the biggest market, but you know what?
Yeah.
They're just doing it up right because this card turned out to be pretty dang good. I'm excited about it. We've got, I can't even pronounce his name, Aro Qulang versus Jay Perrin. And then we've got Almir Elbazi versus Francisco Figueiredo. And you have something to say about that one in particular?
Yeah, I was looking at it. I was writing down some things, and I go, "Oh yeah, that's Figueredo. That's the flyweight champion's brother." And then I'm reading and I'm looking jiu-jitsu, and then I'm like, brother of Tyson. How do you say his first name?
Uh, um, I don't know.
You know,
Why you
it looks
put me on
like
the spot, bro?
yeah, Figueredo, the flyweight champion. It is his younger brother, and the
Davidson.
Davidson, yeah, and they're in the same weight class, which
that I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, they're both flyweight, so that's kind of weird to me because your brother's in the same weight class. Wouldn't he? I guess he couldn't go into a smaller weight class.
Well, is he older brother or younger brother?
Younger brother.
Oh, okay, very cool. All right, and then we have to round out the early prelims. We got Al Fletcher versus Ange Lusa. So it's going to be a lot of fights on this card. It's going to be great, right in Salt Lake City. So we have the prelims, and Nando's going to take it from here, and then we'll just have some fun here.
Okay. Now the first on that prelim is Miranda Maverick. She's 25. Shayna Young is 31. Miranda Maverick is 10-4. She's 3-5 in her last. She lost to Macy Barbara. She's got really good jiu-jitsu. I really like it. Shayna Young is 2-5. She's 8-4. She has great escapes. She has this Muay Thai plum that you don't normally see. Like a lot of these people do the Muay Thai, they have the headbands, but they don't do that plum because you open yourself up to a lot of other fighters going to the belly now, going to the body, because if your hands are right here, your hips are open.
Okay, so tell me this. Define for our viewing audience what a plum is, because if you have some newbies, some first timers watching our podcast, define what a plum is.
So say we're fighting, I come in and I grab you like behind your ears and I bring you in so that your head's right here so that I can knee you in the stomach, in the, and I can move you around. I can grab you by your head, move you this way, and then release my hands, you know. And a lot of that puts a lot of pressure on your neck. It's hard to like have head movement if I'm putting stress and pressure on your neck.
Plus, that's difficult to get out of. It's not super easy. Once you lock a plumb in on somebody, it is hard to get out of because you're looking at those knees. You can't move your head. So there's some things you got to do to get out of that. But it's if you're good at putting that hold on somebody, it's difficult to get out of it. All right, so we got Miranda Maverick versus Shauna Young, and that one is let's see, they're both coming off of wins. That's good.
Yes.
Pretty identical in reach and leg reach, and looks like Shauna Young is just a little bit heavier. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a competitive fight. Who you got on that one?
I'm gonna go with Shauna Young.
Oh yeah, okay. I think I'm going to go with you. Now, see, this is the advantage that Nando has, you guys, okay? When he goes first, I got to either completely disregard everything that he says, but if he makes a good analysis, it's hard to argue. However, you guys, I do have to bring up something from the last fight. My prediction for the Dominic Cruz fight was right spot on, and
Yeah.
Nando's prediction was spot off, okay? I just wanted to clarify that before we move along. Do you have anything to say, Nando?
No, I was devastated. It was really, really sad when I looked at it. I was like, oh man, this is probably, I mean, what do you do from here? If you're Dominic Cruz, you're not going to get a title shot again. Do you just want to waste your time?
Well, I think he'll fight again, to be honest with you. But I think now it's going to be, he's going to fight for money.
It's going to be a legend fight.
Yeah, prize fighter, become a prize fighter. It's still exciting to watch, and we're doing a little divergence here because it's my fault, but I wanted to bring up that fight because I thought that whole card was excellent. It was a great card, but
Yes.
This one in particular, because we only have so much time, he started off really well. He looked really good. He looked better than I've seen him look in years and years and years as far as what he was doing. But as I mentioned in the previous podcast, he just doesn't have the power. But he was touching up Vera pretty good. He just wasn't really a threat, but he had a couple of takedowns, and I think he does come back and fight maybe a couple more times. I don't think he's gonna retire, because I think if he would have did that, he would have laid his gloves in the center of the octagon after that fight. So I think he's coming back. But as far as Nando says, I do agree that I don't think he's going to vie for the gold again, because that was kind of a huge setback. Not just the loss, but the way that he lost. That was a big thing of being knocked out. I predicted this would be his first knockout. He'd get knocked out in this fight, and that's what happened. So that's what I think, Nando.
Yeah, I think he might take Frank Yeager up on that Legends fight.
Yeah, and I can see that too. All right, who do we got next, sir?
Okay, we got Sean Woodson, 30 years old, 9-1, 4-5. He's a long fighter. He's got great hands. And Luis Saldana, 31, 16-7, 4-5. Also great kicks. Has like a taekwondo style with the legs to the stomach, legs out, straight shots.
So this one is an interesting fight because, and you tell me if you agree with me on this, Nando. So we got a guy that's a really good kicker. We got a guy that's a really good striker. Both long in those opposite things, right? So that Woodson's got that long reach. He can almost like he's on the other side of the octagon, and he can tag you. And then you've got Saldana, who's got those kicks. And the thing about Woodson, he's got really skinny legs. But I haven't seen him like really hurt from leg kicks before. So they must be strong. They must be pretty strong here, but they are pretty thin, pretty skinny legs. But he's got great striking ability, man. He can pick you apart so badly that you just want to quit.
Yeah. What do you think?
I am going to go. That's a hard one because, like I said, because of their opposite, the styles make fights, right?
Mhm.
I think this is going to be a great fight. Do not miss this fight on the prelims. Don't miss it because it's going to be a good one. If you don't know who Woodson is or Saldana, you'll know after this fight because this one's going to be a war. And I have to go with Woodson. I'm going to go with Woodson on this one. Who do you got?
Saldana.
Oh
I
yeah,
think the kick. I think the kicks are going to be the key.
yeah,
I,
very
I
well could be. Very well could be. So you willing to risk the walk of shame on this one?
okay. I don't.
Look and see, he went quiet. Did you see that?
No, I'm willing to stick by my fighters. I thought Dominic Cruz was going to win. I guess I was wrong.
No, but like I told you last week, Nando, I wanted him to win. You know,
Mhm.
I wanted him to win, but that's okay. All right, so what do we got next?
We got uh, Leonardo Santos and Jared Gordon. So
All right.
Jared Gordon's 33 years old. He's Sanford MMA. He's 3-5. He lost to Charles Oliveira. He's a great grappler. Now, here's the thing about Leonardo Santos that I thought really weird. I went through multiple things trying to find his age because it says he's 42, and I says there has to be a typo. There has to be something wrong with this. There's no way that we're the same age, and he's not even ranked and he's fighting, but I cannot find anything that disputes that he's not 42 years old.
Woo!
So he's 18-5, 3-5. He's fourth degree black belt, and he has like a Verdum style where he's very like he's not afraid to go to the ground, so he's not afraid to mix it up with his hands. He's got a good style. So I don't know. I mean that seems very odd that he's not ranked and that he's that old still competing.
Well, their fight records are pretty comparable too.
Mhm.
And he does have a huge reach advantage, though. Looks like 7-inch reach advantage and 4-inch on the legs. So, yeah, that height thing. Um, so that tells me that Jared Gordon's got to get on the inside. But I watched his interview last night, and that's exactly what he said. He said, I got to get on the inside. I got to make it dirty. We're going to be fighting in the phone booth. But if he can take that long reach away, because that's exactly what will do it, is the clinch up against the cage, close combat, and striking. And that guy's got much longer limbs. He's going to have to get a little bit of space to get any kind of power, on his shots like that. That's my thought on it. Jared Gordon, he's favored in that one, minus 265. And it could be the age too, Nando, as you said. If the guy's really 42, Jared Gordon's a beast, but he can get careless sometimes too. And he even mentioned that in his own interview that he's made some mistakes. Is going to try not to do that, but he knows how to beat him. And I'm going to go with Jared Gordon on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with you because I'm just nervous about the old dog going in there. I mean, I think I think you're right. I think and when he lost to Charles Oliveira, was it? I mean, he got knocked out. I'm pretty sure I saw, but I just don't. I think he's on the up. The other fighter, this is like we're getting close to the end if he doesn't start winning some big fights.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, 42, that's pretty long in the tooth for a fighting career. It's one thing if you've been a champion and if you've got this stellar record, but it's another thing and I don't want to call anybody a journeyman or anything like that because I don't know him well enough to see, but I'm looking at his record and he at this age, I'm just feel that Jared Gordon is gonna take this one. All right, what do we got next?
So we got Tybura versus Alex Romanov.
Yep, Marcin Tybura.
Alex Romanov is 21. He's ranked 13. He has great hair. He's a great grappler. He's Olympic freestyle wrestling.
Woo!
Now Marcin, is 4-5, 22-7. He lost to Volkov, and he beat Wall Harris and Greg Hardy. I think that was the last fight for Greg Hardy. And it's interesting. I was looking at Romanov, and I was watching him in the embedded, and I was watching him and other stuff, and he's working on his hands. He doesn't seem to be showing his card when it comes to wrestling. But that freestyle wrestling is very good, and it transitions over to UFC a lot. A lot of the Greco-Roman is a lot like tighter, not as, I mean, there's people like now I'm drawing a blank, like Dan Henderson and those people. Chael Sonnen was freestyle wrestling. I can't think of the light heavyweight champion that was Greco. Why can't I think of his name? Randy Couture. So
yeah, he was a beast.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna be well, but Marcin is good. He doesn't seem as fast to me as I would like him to be, but when you win, and that's all that really matters.
That's right.
Not if it's a
And
fancy
one thing that I know about Marcin is I think he got cut from the UFC twice. And
really?
the last time he came back, they invited him back because they needed a body in that weight class. And he was winning outside. So they brought him back, and then he's been winning except for this last one, which was his loss. So he's been looking a lot better. Now, I promise you a little surprise. So I saw him. We went to Trolley Square 2 days ago, and there's a good food. I think it's called Good Foods Grocery right in Trolley Square. And
the Whole Foods or no?
Whole Foods. Thank you. Yeah. And he and another dude came walking out of there with a bunch of groceries and stuff. And I was going to go over there and say hi. Hopefully take a picture. Maybe say, hey, can you do a clip for Knuckle Sandwich for us? But they looked like they were concentrating and didn't want to get into his business. But yeah, I saw him. He's a big dude, man.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. All right. So who's your pick on this one, Nando?
I'm gonna go with Romanov.
I'm gonna go with Romanov because of the wrestling, the grappling. If he gets Tybura on the ground, I think it's pretty much over. But Tybura, he does have pretty good. He's not fast. I agree with you there, but he does have he can move around pretty good. I've seen him get up from being on his back. He's not going to do any submissions or anything from his back. If he gets taken down to the ground, he'll get finished there one way or another, either ground and pound or submission or something. But I'm going to have to go with Alexander as well because that's just a smart pick, man. All right, guys. Now we're coming to the main event, the main card. Right in Salt Lake City. How exciting is that? That's pretty cool. And I'm going to start off at the bottom, and then Nando, just give me your feedback on each match. First off, in the main card, we have Tyson Pedro versus Harry Hunsucker. And watching both of their interviews was quite interesting. Hunsucker says people always are dogging on his name and stuff like that. Come on, man. It's Hunsucker, baby. Hunsucker. But so we got Tyson Pedro, and let me go over a couple of little stats here. He's 8-3, his record, and Hunsucker is 7-5. Tyson Pedro came off a win, Hunsucker a loss. They're pretty comparable in size and height. Pedro has a 4-inch reach advantage and just 1.5-inch leg reach advantage over Huntsucker. But if you've been watching Pedro fight, that dude's an animal, man. He's pretty vicious. He hits really, really hard. Huntsucker does too. But I'm going to go short on this one. Well, here's the odds too. The betting odds. Pedro is minus 740 to Huntsucker's plus 540. That is a huge gap, my friends.
Yeah.
So naturally, I'm going to go with the odds on this one, and I'm picking Tyson Pedro for the knockout.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'm going to say a couple things real quick. Now, they talk about Huntsucker's name. Tyson Pedro's nickname is Kangaroo Paws, which I don't know how that ended up happening. His brother-in-law is Tai Tuivasa. So, and then he was out 3 years. You know,
Yeah.
his last fight was 2019. I think I wrote down somewhere 2018, and he's had multiple injuries. So I'm gonna go with the guy with the funny name, Huntsucker. I think they both hit. They're both 2-5 right now, but this was like he only had one fight like recently, and the other fight was like 2 years ago. So I'm gonna go with Hunsucker. I think he's been like consistent right now, and I think Dominic Cruz says, ring rust doesn't matter unless you stay active, and I don't know that he was staying active this whole time. I mean, people were saying that he wasn't taking it seriously.
Oh, and those are valid points. You haven't changed my mind yet, but they're valid points. And wait, listen, can you hear that? Yeah, I hear the horns of the Walk of Shame is starting to form. They're getting louder and louder. So this is good stuff. All right, guys. Let's go with the next one. We have Wu Yanan versus Lucy Pudova. And this one looks to be kind of let's see what we got here. Yanan is 12-5. Lucy or Pudova is 8-6. So that's not a super stellar record. Height, weight, reach is all identical. Leg reach for Yanan is about 3 inches shorter than Pudova. Now, I did do a little bit of research on some of the past fights, and one thing that kind of surprises me is Pudova wasn't super exciting in her last fight. She did lose that fight, I believe, and it was just kind of she was fairly good at evading, but there wasn't a lot of action going on as far as moving forward and throwing hands. She had, if she throws hands, she's pretty good. She looks like she's got some nice jabs and good straight punches. But I didn't see a lot to tell me a whole lot about her. Yanan, I'm going to, even though she's not the odds-on favorite, I'm going to go ahead with her because I think she's got something to prove fighting for China. And I think that she's going to bring her game on this particular bout.
Yeah, I think Moldova, she was in the UFC. She got cut. She went 1-5, and then she went out of the UFC and went 4-5. So, and she's training with Kavanaugh now. I think Kavanaugh might be able to fix a couple things, but it's not usually when you go to a new coach, it's not that first fight, it's that third fight that you start seeing things and you're like, okay, because the first fight you wanna stick with what the fighter got them there. You want to add things, but you don't want to change their style completely. You want to add things, see what they're doing in this fight, add a couple things and see how this works with this fighter. Because you can do that in the gym 100 times, but when you go out, is that in their memory? Is it in their muscle memory to do what you taught them? Cannot just change somebody overnight. But I'm gonna go with Wu Yan.
Okay, so we're agreed on that one. Oh, let's
Yeah.
move on. We have, oh my goodness, this is a good one, man.
Yes.
Jose Aldo versus Merab Shelvili. Valshivi, something like that. I'm going to just go with Merab because I'm massacring his name and I don't like to disrespect people like that.
Well, that's the same thing Sarah does. I don't even know how to say his last name. We just call him Rob.
So we'll go with Merab and Jose. This is an amazing fight right here. The matchup is long in coming for Merab. He needed a brand name fight and none bigger than Jose Aldo. And Jose Aldo, this is a great fight for him because he's fighting somebody that is a contender, a legit contender, a tough dude. So to pair these two guys together was great matchmaking. And believe it or not, Jose is considered the underdog on this one.
Oh, really?
Let's look at the stats here. Jose Aldo 31-7, and I don't really look at that for Jose and certain other fighters because they've been in the fight game so long, that and they've proven themselves, whether they have a lot of losses or not. They've proven themselves. He's risen, like a phoenix out of the ashes to come and become a contender and fight possibly for the belt again. And I think if he wins this, he might be in line for that belt, maybe one more fight. I don't know. Then you got Merab, who's 14-4, and that doesn't tell you a lot either because when you watch this guy fight, he's just an animal. He's incredibly strong and super impressive. So they're both coming off of wins. Height is almost identical. Weight is identical. Jose Aldo has a 2-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch leg reach advantage over Merab. But I see this as could be fight of the night or performance of the night fight. So you don't want to miss this one. Going to be a great back and forth. I'm going to wait to tell you who I choose. I want to hear Nando's analysis because it may change my pick. So go ahead, Nando, do your thing.
Okay, so what I like about Jose Aldo, he had like 3 losses in a row: Volk, Marlon Moraes, Peter Yan, and then he went on a tear and beat Marlon Vera, Pedro Munoz, Rob Font, and he's looking great. And he's got like you said, he's got 1 or 2 more fights. He's looking like whatever was wrong with him, he fixed.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's at this weight class now. He looks comfortable. He's every weight cut I see, he doesn't look nervous. He doesn't look out of sorts. Now Merab is on a 7-fight win streak. He's from Ray Longo and Matt Serra, one of my favorite teams. And he's I was thinking, oh, that was who it was. It was fought Marlon Moraes. And Marlon Moraes was tearing him up in the beginning. And I was like, oh, he's not gonna last. And he just came back and gave him everything he gave him and more. And I like his grappling. I like this guy is not going to be afraid. He's going to go in there and he's got a game plan. He's going to stick to it. And I think we've been seeing some people go in there and not stick to the game plan. I think he knows that he can weather the storm and that he can impose his storm if he wants to.
Okay, and one thing that you bring to mind is if you're really good on grappling or wrestling or ground game, that takes a huge factor out of the fear factor of as opposed to being your opponent and being afraid to being taken to the ground because your guy is so good at grappling. Even if he gets outpunched by Jose, for example, he always has that option if he can get in close enough to take him to the ground. But Jose's got one of the best, defenses too, for being taken down. When he really poses that, he's pretty good about not being taken down. So you've got these, almost like the magnets when you turn them reverse, and they're just, they're not sticking. They're just kind of going like this because the skill sets that they both possess kind of brings that to mind as far as putting magnets in an opposite direction where they're just kind of doing this. I do think it's going to be probably the fight of the night because they both have something to prove. I watched Merab's interview, and at first he looked really tired to me. Like he looked like washed out. And that kind of concerned me. But then as the interview went on, he just started to come. I don't know if he's shy or what the deal is, but he started to come on. And then I was like, okay, I'm starting to gain confidence back in him again, because I was nervous for a second. He looked a little washed out. And I know, Nando, that when you look at the weigh-ins and the face-offs, you look for those kinds of tall tale signs, right? To see, are they nervous? Do they look, washed out,
depleted,
tired, sickly, and that kind of thing. So you always kind of look at that. But like I said, as the interview went on, I was feeling more and more comfortable. So who's your pick, Nando?
Oh man, this is really tough. It can go either way. I think it might go to a decision. I'm actually pretty sure it's going to go to a decision. I'm going to say Jose Aldo's going to edge it out.
Aldo? Oh, dang it. I was hoping you were going to make it easy for me, and you didn't. Oh, shoot. Because I want to implement the Wakashen because the horns are blaring. I can hear them. I'm going to go with Merab just because you went with Aldo, and I was hoping you would not do that. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. Okay, let's go to the next one. We got Paulo Costa versus Luke Rockhold. Now, Paulo Costa is a -345 underdog, and Luke Rockhold's a +285. And let's see, let's look at the records. Paulo Costa is 13-2. Luke Rockhold is 16-5. Costa's last fight was a loss, and Luke's been out of the fight game for a while now. He's just barely coming back in, so that could be a factor. Height, weight. Luke has a 5-inch reach advantage and a 5.5 leg reach advantage on Costa. So we got a little bit of height there. He must have pretty long limbs because there's only 2 inches difference in the height. With the last analysis, Nando talking about being out of the fight game for a while, that could be the issue for Luke Rockhold. Coming off a loss, that could be an issue for Costa. But I'll tell you what, looking at some of the video, Costa is ripped, my friends. That dude is cut. I don't think he has an ounce of fat on him, but he doesn't look thin, and he doesn't look overly bulked. He looks just like this chiseled specimen, man. He's looking really, really good. And Rockhold, he's no slouch either. He's looking pretty good too. But the one thing that I noticed in the interview for Rockhold was he has a huge chip on his shoulder.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
That dude's got some negative vibe going on, and he's got a lot of anger issues and stuff like that. And I think that could go against him, because if you go in there that hot, and if you get tagged, you're going to want to get it back. And that's where you make mistakes. And that's kind of where you make a mistake with the Bisping. He was a little too cocky with Bisping.
Oh yeah, he thought he had it in the bag.
He caught him. He was too slow. He was reacting just like he was doing this and this and this. And Bisping caught him, man, because he was just keeping his nose to the grindstone. But this one right here, it's a tough one for me to go with. But I'm going to go first because I want to see where Nando takes this. Okay. I'm going to go with Paulo Costa on this one. I'm going to go with the odds, and just because he's looking so good, he's fired his old management team. He's got something new going on, so we'll see what happens. I think that may help him because I think there was too many head games in his camps and all kinds of different things going on that prevented him from really rising to the top. So I'm going to go with Costa on this one. What say you, Nando?
Okay, so the Luke Rockhold, Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa's ranked 6, and Luke Rockhold isn't ranked because he hasn't fought like in a year or two. He had that loss to Jan. He had the loss to Bisbing, Yoel Romero. He's training with Jason Perillo, which is Cheeto Vera's coach, and he was there with Cheeto, and they were. I don't know if he's ready. I know that he's telling everybody he's ready and he's gonna beat the champion over, but this is not the easiest fight to come back to.
No
I
doubt.
wouldn't pick it. I wouldn't pick that fight to come back to. I would pick something a little more, favorable for me to win. But Paulo Costa's a beast, man. He's a berserker. He has that Bisbing, the Vitor Belfort style where he's just berserker comes, and I like that because he's gonna put the pressure. If he puts the pressure on Luke Rockhold and doesn't get taken down, which Luke Rockhold sounds like, oh no, my striking's way better. I'm gonna stand with him. I wouldn't. I would try to take him down as quick as possible and grapple him and then let him get back up. But in that first round, I would definitely try to take him down, take some of that berserker style, that energy off of him. But I think in the end, I think this is the perfect matchup for Paulo Costa, and I think he's gonna take him out the first round really
Ooh,
fast.
wow, you're predicting a first round finish, huh?
Yeah, because I was watching the fight with him and Yoel Romero. I forgot how great a fight Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero. They were knocking each other, getting back up, and I think if it happens, it's going to happen fast. I don't think they're going to decision.
Wow, interesting. Very interesting analysis. Okay, so I want to touch on a couple of points you made. One is Luke Rockhold, I believe his grappling is superior, far superior than Costa's. And so did Rockhold change his whole camp? He's no longer with is it ATT? Is that
No, he was with AKA. He was
AKA?
with
Thank you.
he was with
AKA. So did he
CrossCheck.
change
Yeah,
camp?
as far as I saw, he was doing some stuff with Samford. He was doing some stuff. He was kind of moving around. He was doing his striking with Jason Perillo, which is known for like Michael Bisping, Tito Ortiz, Cyborg, Cheeto Vera, and he's got a great. I like his striking. I say he's like probably third to Trevor Whitman. I like Trevor Whitman, what he does with the people. But yeah, I have it. And then I saw him on a couple interviews, and he wasn't saying that he was going back to AKA. He was on a fight companion with Josh Thompson, and Josh Thompson is one of the head trainers at AKA. I think he works with the smaller guys, but Josh Thompson was saying that no, he comes in here or there, but he hasn't been there in a while. And he was saying Luke Rockhold said he was working on some things with some other camps.
Interesting. So yeah, so that tells me a little bit too. So we got a guy who hasn't fought in a while, has got a huge chip on his shoulder, seems to be angry about everything. And then Costa, and both of them look like they're in good shape. He was talking to Luke Rockhold in his interview was talking about a lot about nutrition, eating right, getting back on the track, feeling good about what he's putting in his body, and feeling top of the game. So we'll see what happens there. I'm gonna go. Your analysis is pretty good. So here's the thing. If I was going to break it down a little bit, I would say if Rockhold can get him to the ground and tire him out, because Costa does carry a lot of muscle mass. If he can tire him out, and if he can take him down 2 or 3 times and lay on him and make him work to get back up, I think it could go the distance, and I think Luke Rockhold could win that fight. If he cannot take him down, if Costa, because he's got that power, man, and Rockhold's got that chin, that suspect, because he's been knocked out a couple of times. When they hit him right there, he goes, as we say, mimes, right? He goes mimes. Yeah. and I think if Costa catches him, it's going to be one and done. I agree with you. I agree with you on that part. So Rockhold starts a little slower. Costa, you said, goes berserker mode. So that's a deadly combo, man.
Yeah.
That's a deadly combo, especially if Luke starts moving forward and they collide in the center of the octagon. It's almost like that collision with Masvidal and Askren, because Askren came, he had something to prove, and he was going to take him down ASAP, and Masvidal saw that, and that was that. You saw what happened there.
I knew something was up because somebody that's real, and I was like, this guy is not messing around. When somebody stands like this, their hands behind their back like this, that things are about to get crazy. Things are, and they practice that over and over again. And Askren, I wasn't sold on Askren. I think we got the bum part of that deal. They got Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson's doing good. We get an old beat up. You know what I mean? I was not happy with that trade at all. I thought Ben Askren, I thought he was out of his prime. I thought they should have put him against grapplers. And
that they should have. It would have been interesting to put him up against, but of course he had, his first was Robbie Lawler, and that was an interesting fight. But I'm going to come back to Paulo Costa and Luke Rockhold because I'm going to have to go with Nando on this one. I think Paulo Costa is going to win. I think it's going to be a finish. Again, if Rockhold can get him to the ground a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, I think he can eke out a decision based on those takedowns and evading the dangerous strikes. But I don't think Costa's going to give him that opportunity. I think he's going to bum rush him and throw some bombs, and he's going to connect with that chin or behind the ear and put Rockhold to mimes. I think that's what's going to happen there. All right, now the main fight of the night. Okay, this is a big one, and I do want some of your analysis, Nando, on this one, because I think it's a very important fight for many reasons. You've got the defending champion who's defended the belt, 5 times now, 6 times? Something like that. And he's beat all the top contenders, man, all of them. And he fought Leon Edwards, I think, 7 years ago and beat him. And I went and watched that fight again. It wasn't super, I don't know. To me, it was kind of a boring fight. But they've both come a long way since then, a long, long way. And you can tell by the previous fights. Usman is more of a striker now, not afraid to do whatever it takes, but he was more of a guy pushing you up against the fence, grappling you and putting you down on the ground, and not so much anymore. He likes the striking. He likes knocking dudes out. And then you got Leon, who he was piecing up Diaz before he got clocked. And I think he got a little lazy at the end there because he saw I was looking at the clock and saw it was going, this is easy. I got this. It's a walk in the park. And I think he, left his hands a little too low, and Diaz said, pow, but then Diaz ruined that finish. He could have went in there because I think he had enough time to actually kind of finish him off. He's pointing at him like, yeah, I got you, man. I got you. And I was like, stop it. Go get him. Don't tell him you got him. Go get him. Finish this thing off. So Leon survived that one. But through the whole fight, he was pretty much piecing up Nate Diaz, and the leg kicks were pretty good too. They were pretty strong, Leon. So let's see what we got here as far as some specs. Kamaru Usman is 20-1. Leon Edwards is 19-3. Great records on both of those guys. Both of them, their last fights were wins. Height is identical. Weight, Kamaru Usman's coming in at 186. And Leon Edwards 170, so a 16-pound difference. Reach and leg reach are basically identical, just a couple of inches difference, no big deal. So this one is going to be really interesting because Leon has had setback after setback after setback. You know, it's been incredible. He's almost like Dominic Cruz, man, just getting injuries and weird visa problems and all kinds of stuff. COVID. I mean, you name it, it's all happened to Leon Edwards, kind of like Dominic Cruz. But here he is. He's fighting for the championship. 7 years after their first meeting, and you got the Nigerian Nightmare who. He's just looking better and better and better. You know, when you see somebody, and if they don't have the hunger anymore, you kind of see their skill levels taper off or plateau out, and they're not learning new things to stay on top of their game. But then you look at the Usman, and he's just kind of different. He just always seems to be learning, and there's a new wrinkle in his game every time he comes to defend his belt. And this fight, I see no difference there. I see a new wrinkle in the game. But again, both of them have improved vastly from 7 years ago from their first matchup. What's your take on it, Nando?
I think that Usman's been getting way better. I think he's more comfortable with his shots. I think he's not worried about taking people down if he doesn't have to. And I think Trevor Whitman's really the reason behind that. I think Leon Edwards is good. He's got wins over Nate Diaz, Dos Anjos, Gunnar Nelson. But I don't know if it's gonna be enough. I mean, I would have liked to see him fight a couple people in that top 5. You know, he's ranked number 2 right now, but I would have liked to see him fight Covington or Burns or Stephen Thompson or Masvidal or somebody that is like gonna show a little more of what he has. The Nate Diaz, I'm a Nate Diaz fan, but he didn't really show me anything different. So I'm not like too impressed with that fight, but I think that, like he said, there's a lot of injuries, like Usman's falling apart. And, Usman says he's got bad knees and bad whatever, but he doesn't show it when he fights. He goes in there and he wins. He says, oh, I can barely run. I don't use my knees. But then when he's in that fight, he's maybe he doesn't need to put all that pressure on his knees or all that, that road work. Maybe him just working on his techniques is the key. You know what I mean? Some people say you need sparring. And then Max Holloway said, I don't need sparring. Well, maybe he did need sparring, but that's besides the point. You know what I mean? But Leon Edwards, I think he's going to have to keep this a stand-up fight. He's going to, if what he says is true, my main thing would be work on the knees. Work on the knees, quit his mobility, and start taking him apart. And I would start, if I was him, with the knees. Start with the knees, keep moving side to side, piece him up, but don't try to knock him out. Think of this as the long haul. You're going to have to get him into the 3rd or 4th. Don't try to knock him out, because if you try to knock him out, I think Usman will knock him out. Because Usman's got some great shots. What he did to Masvidal, I think partly was because Masvidal keeps his hands down. That's his style. And Edwards doesn't keep his hands down at all. He's very kind of like a karate stance. So I don't think that's what you need to worry about. But if Usman takes him down, Usman said, he says, I need to wrestle him. He doesn't want me to wrestle him. The fans don't want me to wrestle him. If I wrestle him, it's just going to be over, and it's not the way I want to win. And I don't think he wants to win like that. He wants a big fight. He wants a knockout for us all to be happy. And, he's the main card. He wants to put on a show. And as a fan, I'm very excited for people that want to do that. I don't want to see a boring fight. I want to see a good fight in my home state. You know what I mean? So what's your analysis?
Yeah, I'm with you there. So here's my thing. I think Leon Edwards has the better kicks, the stronger kicks, the more damaging kicks, but they can be caught. And if Usman's getting hurt with those kicks, he's going to catch one of those, because I think Leon might go to the well one too many times, and he's going to take him down. And I think once he takes him down, then they're going to be wrestling. He's going to start to tire him out, start gaining on points. And then the next time they stand up or the next round or whatever, Leon's going to think about it a little differently. He'll still do some leg kicks, but I don't think he'll put himself out there that if he gets taken down one time. I think that'll weigh in his mind. Now, I also think what may weigh on Usman's mind is coming off that hand injury, and that long rehab on getting. I don't know if it was. I know he broke his hand, but I think there was some tendon damage and stuff there too. And if you're thinking about that, in the back of your mind, like I got to watch my punches, how I throw them, so I don't, re-damage this thing because what did he have? 6 months of recovery on that hand, and he showed the picture of the flesh cut open and the inside of his hand. It was pretty gruesome stuff, but I wonder if that'll weigh on his mind as far as being able to throw that knockout punch, when he needs to, when it's called upon. That might be, in his mind. And that's why I think he might wrestle a little bit more, is because of that hand injury. And if he can get, a knockout would be fantastic from either guy. A 5-round slobber knocker, right? From the WWE days, as 5-round slobber knocker would just thrill all the fans. But if Usman was able to submit, choke out, triangle, guillotine, whatever, Leon Edwards, I think that's just as good. But we do want to see some rounds. We want to see them get some rounds in because we just haven't seen Leon fight that long. It's been a while since he's fought. And then Usman too, because of that hand injury. But it's going to be a great fight. And it all comes down to this, Nando, okay, the most important question of the day. Who is your pick and why? And I'm going to let you go first because you're not talking to me out of anything that is already in my mind.
I'm going with Usman. I think this is a good matchup for Usman because it's different. But I think Usman's got this, and I hope he doesn't decide to go to light heavyweight because he would be really small, really small compared to them. I know he can gain weight or whatever, but yeah, he's not gonna. I think Izzy found out, and he was only going up 10, 15 pounds. You know what I mean? That you don't want some of those big guys attacking you. I think Usman's got what it takes. He knows, and he's already got the win on him. And I think he knows that if he sticks to the game plan, and he's good. The guys at Trevor Whitman's camp are good at listening to exactly what he says, not questioning it, not going in there going, all right, this is what you have to do, and they go out there and do it. I just don't think that Leon Edwards is going to have enough.
Okay. Well, and I should have went first because, man, now our viewers are going to think that you convinced me to change my mind, but I didn't. My mind was already set. But that was a good argument. Very good argument, Nando. I agree with everything that you said there. And one thing that you did remind me of, you can't forget about Trevor Whitman and the camp. Those guys are killers, and they produce killers. And the striking game and knowing Usman's already wrestling pedigree, that's a deadly combo, man. That's a deadly combo. I think the only hope that Leon has is damaging the legs of Usman with some kicks, which could lead him to being taken down, as I mentioned previously. But also, he does have good striking. Leon has excellent striking, but I think Usman is better at moving than Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz just was like a punching bag in there, man. But the leg kick slowed him down. quite a bit and was enabled Leon Edwards just to pick him apart. And I don't think Usman's he's not gonna put up with that stuff because he's very, very well rounded. But I do disagree. I think with Usman, I think he's going to take him down. Especially if he gets hurt with the leg kick. I think he's going to take him down and wear him out and then start to pick him apart. I also side with you on that one. I pick Usman to win this one. Last week I did say I think Leon's going to pull this one out, but as I went through the week and watched everything and listened and kind of refreshed my memory on the fights and stuff, I do agree. I think Usman is going to, because if he does want to go to 205, right, he has to have a good showing, and it can't be a decision. He's got to win it emphatically, because Dana White's even saying what you said. It's not a good idea, man. You're too little. You're too small for that division. But then you look at Volkanovski. Come on, that's a little dude too, and he's fighting some bigger guys, much bigger guys than him, and he wins.
No, well, it would be like if Volkanovski went to fight in the welterweight. You're talking about two divisions. You're not talking about one division. You're talking about two divisions.
Yeah, but he wants to fight Canelo too. So come on, man.
I mean, I think he just says that. I don't even think Canelo believes him.
All right, you guys. Well, that is our analysis for this upcoming card in Salt Lake City. Don't forget, you guys. Okay, we were so involved in the conversation. I forgot to say, don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, down below. That's right. And give us some feedback on our new logo as we continue to improve the show and move it along. One thing that I always want to remind you guys of, we will always name all of the fighters on the cards because they're all putting in camps, they're all putting blood, sweat, and tears, and we want to recognize them. We don't want to just talk about, the main card because we want to respect all the fighters. And sometimes we don't agree with how fighters carry themselves or whatever, but that's just our opinion, right? You've got your opinion, Nando's got his, I've got mine, and that's what this whole chat thing's all about. The whole podcast purpose, right, is to just give your opinion. So we're not trying to hate on anybody, disrespect, but if I don't like somebody, I'll say something, I don't like his fighting style or this or that or whatever, but that's okay because it's just part of the conversation. We're not going to be hating on people, for hate's sake, because we don't want to do any of that stuff, because we realize one thing that's amazing about these fighters in all mixed martial arts, any kind of sports, to be honest with you, they sacrifice a lot for your entertainment and my entertainment, and we love that. So let's give them their due, whether they win or lose, whether their personalities we like or don't like, but that doesn't mean we can't disagree. That's okay too. All right, you guys, thank you for watching, tuning in to Knuckle Sandwich MMA. Last time I said MMA, knucklesandwich.com. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Even Nando called me out on that one. So thank you for watching Knuckle Sandwich MMA. Nando, send us away, baby.
Okay, this is going to be a great card. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is going to be one of the bigger fights of the year. Watch everybody on there and leave comments. If you think I need the walk of shame, which I don't think, I think I made some good bets, and fight cards are only getting better and better going into December. They haven't released it, but the October, the Nate Diaz and Chimaev, I mean, we're having great fights. Poirier did get Chandler. I mean, there's some great fights, and I hope you guys enjoy.
And we'll continue with our fun analysis of breaking down the fights and stuff like that. So don't forget, share, like, and subscribe. We'll see you next week after the fights on Knuckle Sandwich MMA. Boom.
Yes, I'll have a knuckle sandwich. Yes, I'll have a knuckle sandwich.